Folks, today I am joined by Dexter Fletcher, director of projects such as Rocket Man, The Offer, and his new film Ghosted, which hits Apple TV Plus on April 21st. Thank you so much for your time today, sir.
No problem, Eric. No problem.
Where do we find you from today? Are you in New
Well,
York?
exactly. You hit it on the first try. Exactly where I am. I'm in sunny, cloudy, rainy New York. It was sunny yesterday. It's a little overcast
Yes,
today,
sir.
but I'm excited to be here. Yep, we've got a premiere tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Congrats on that. Congrats on the film as well. I am curious how this project found you. Eddie the Eagle, Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, The Offer. These are all projects about real people existing in real times, almost modern day period pieces. Ghosted is on the complete opposite end of that. Why the switch? Was it conscious or?
Well, it's all relatively conscious. No, I don't think that I was like, I've done all of these period biopic kind of things about real people. I should just switch it up completely and change that. I think that I really just I act on my response to material that people put in front of me or speak to me about, and that this was very much that. I got the call from Skydance, who said we have this project with Evans attached, which I thought, okay, that sounds good. And then I subsequently read the script and was like, oh, this could be like a really good opportunity for me to kind of, do some action, but also try and bring some kind of heart to it that I love those movies from the 80s. They kind of have that kind of feel still, that Indiana Jonesy things, if I can be so bold as to compare it's certainly an influence for me, just how Spielberg, keeps one foot in reality. Yes. So yeah.
I actually spoke to Paul and Rhett last year, and they name-checked Amancing the Stone and True Lies. And I'm curious, what do you think has happened to the action rom-com genre? Any idea why films in this particular genre are so rare these days when, as you just pointed out, they were almost like the idealist cinematic staple 30 years ago?
I think it's just a matter of kind of sensibilities and trends. They move around, don't they? 30 years ago, if you said, well, making a movie about Spider-Man, everyone would have gone, oh, okay. And then there were some pretty ropey Spider-Man movies back in the day, and they weren't given this kind of consideration, or they weren't the behemoth that they are now. And I suppose it's just a matter of trends and storytelling and who's doing that. And I suppose through the 90s and the noughties, technology advances as well, and how you can achieve visual effects and special effects, that obviously has an impact and can play into how those stories are told. And as that technology advances and develops and evolves, things shift. And what's interesting about Ghosted and working with people like Skydance, for example, and Apple, is that I very clearly set out that I would like to create as much in camera as possible to give us that very immediate feel that maybe some of this more sort of super wizardry with visual effects and computers as maybe taken away a little bit from. So I don't know if the appetite for romance and adventure has gone. It's just sort of filmmaking trends, isn't it?
But I think they're starting to swing back a bit, though. If you look at the box office over the last 6 months or so, or even if you look at the Academy Awards, you've got a film as unique as Everything All at Once. You've got films like, Scream 6 outperforming relative Ant-Man. So I feel like box office trends are starting to go back towards the way things were. And what I'm curious from your point of view is that, do you think we could expect more original projects like Ghosted in the next coming years? And why do you think films like this are vital to the art form at large?
Well, I think there's always going to be original ideas struggling to get through, because they are a struggle to get through, because they take, it's a lot of money invested. And obviously when you're talking about the kind of numbers that and the kind of amount of dollars that have to be sort of invested into making a big event movie, security is a very important element of that equation. And so the more original ideas maybe do struggle to find their foothold. I mean, I started my movie career as a director with a movie that costs not even $1 million, and I worked my way up. And I think a lot of movie directors, filmmakers do that. But
Poulter's a star these days. You nailed that one.
What's that?
I said Will Poulter's a star these days. You really nailed that one.
Oh yeah. And George Mackay was in my next film as well. He's pretty amazing. And Taron and I'm very proud of my work with those guys. No, I hope that will always be the case. That's what I'll always endeavor to do. At least try and be original. And I think original content does capture people's imaginations. And maybe, it's even what Ghosted is about. To a larger or greater or lesser extent, is about safety, or playing it safe isn't always definitely going to give you the kind of life that you want. And sometimes to step out of your comfort zone and take a risk, as Evans's character does in this film, can lead you to somewhere extraordinary and new. That's kind of what this story is about, I suppose. But hopefully that's the case. And I think, I'm a filmmaker now, and I'm in my mid-50s. So all the films that influenced me as I grew up are starting to find their foothold now. I get to play with those influences now. And so maybe that's part of that cycle, that 20 years later, the next generation of filmmakers come up and reference the films that they loved and grew up on.
Well, I think that we're seeing that with the rise of video game films, because I'm 30 and I am the generation that grew up playing those. So now that where the storyteller is writing scripts, the video game sensibility is starting to come in, I think. So you talk about how Chris's character steps outside of his comfort zone. You did as well. How'd that go? How did you enjoy sort of this type of filmmaking, which is on a larger, more technical scale than you had done?
Well, I mean, look, it was a massive challenge. There's no two ways about that. And that's a lot of the reason why I kind of was so engaged, because I knew it was something, that scale was something I aspire to, to have that big scale and canvas and make movies that are a spectacle and have that kind of weight. Yeah,
I could just tell by what film you got next. It doesn't get much bigger than that, does it?
Well, yeah. Well, look, I enjoy that, and those opportunities, if they present themselves, I'd be foolish not to take them on. It's with some trepidation, because when you fail hard, and that's not the desire. But at the same time, you get to work with incredible teams, incredible creative teams, because there's the profile and the recognition and the money there to really elevate your game. I had to learn a lot about visual effects and special effects, which I'd not really done before, but that's the challenge of it. That's the exciting time. And I've always been, in my filmmaking, very quick to say, I know what I don't know. And what I mean by that is, I'm okay to talk to other people about what they do know and how I, as the director, could exploit their knowledge and make a good film. So I'm very collaborative, or I pride myself on my collaborative approach, and hopefully that
the Spielberg method.
Yeah, I suppose, what you say, the great directors sit in the middle of it all and kind of watch everyone be brilliant and encourage them to be so. It's there's certainly a large degree of that, and again, he's another one of the great filmmakers that I love. So I'll keep endeavoring to do it.
The performance that struck me most was that of Adrian Brody, who is an Academy Award winner who seems like he's having a blast here. Are there any specific sort of villain tropes or performances that he name checked? Sort of, where did the bones of this character come from?
He didn't. No, that's interesting. He didn't say, "Oh, this is like so and so," or "This could be like that."
Right.
I don't go into it with the actors like, "Hey, give me what Harrison Ford did in that," because no actor really wants to hear that. I'm like, okay, no. What the work that I did with Adrian, and you're right, he's having a ball. Was I get all the actors is to kind of write a biography. We spent some time rehearsing, and we speak about history, so that in the scenes they can concentrate on being in the moment rather than, oh, what's my backstory. We have all of that established. If it's relevant and we use it, great, but if not, it's just a really good foundation for the characters that they create. And he made choices about, the character's called Levesque, so he took that as French, and he's part of the French Secret Service, and he created and built a lot of that, and it gave him some real freedom. I mean, there's some what he wanted to do was create a villain actually that smacks of insecurity and kind of has this other edge that is a little bit whiny. Sort of, there's a great scene with him and Mike Moe when Mike Moe, Arnold calls him an idiot, and he turns to Mike Moe and says with great glee, "I should call you an idiot to your face," and he really enjoys that because he's punching down, and I think that's what Adrian really kind of really enjoyed, because he's not only a villain in action, but he's also a villain just who he is as a person on a one-to-one relationship. Not only is he trying to sell chemical weapons to very dubious sources, but he's a bit of a bastard as well. He's not very, as a boss, he's really, he really gives that. And in fact, I actually paired it right back. There's other stuff that he improvised that's in the blooper reel that is just, for me, was the fun. And we have there's a great moment where he threatens to kill someone. He says, "If you get that thing or I kill you." And then he's about to hang up the phone and he goes, "Oh, can you still get tickets for Cirque du Soleil?" And he turns. And it's just a brilliant moment. And I really had to wrestle with myself to put it in or not, because he's meant to be threatening. And that's the fine line. But it's in the blooper reel, which I'm really happy about, because that's what Adrian can do. He could be threatening and then vulnerable at the same time. Very human. And it's very funny. Yeah, he's brilliant.
I want to ask you about a film that you probably have not been asked about in a long time, and it has a connection to me despite the fact that I've never actually seen it. One of your first film roles was in David Lynch's The Elephant Man.
Yeah.
When I was younger,
yeah,
my love of film comes from my mom and dad. My mom tried to show me this, and I got through 5 minutes and I tapped out. I couldn't do it. It was too sad for me.
It's very sad.
When you think back to that, you were a kid at the time, no?
I was.
What experiences pop in your head when you think about your work on that film?
Wow. It was so influential for me, I think, in so many ways, because Lynch was just so engaged and excited. I mean, he was, he'd just come off the back of a Razorhead, and Mel Brooks was the producer, so it was quite an extraordinary.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Mel Brooks film. It's a Mel Brooks film. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks is The Elephant Man.
Yeah, go check it out. Exactly. His wife is in it. And I don't know. I mean, I like to say I was only 13, 14, but like Lynch was really engaged in the immediate, and also there was like Tony Hopkins and John Hurt at the peak of their game. Not to say then, John Hurt's no longer around, but Hopkins even now. But they were sort of like full power. And there's another great actor in it called Freddie Jones, who's Toby Jones's dad. And so I was around these incredible actors who'd done amazing theatre. It was all shot in black and white. Freddie Francis was the cinematographer, who was this great English cinematographer who'd done amazing stuff, who David had found. Lucky enough to work with. I remember one day we were on the set, and it was in the streets of London, in an old part of London that is not really there anymore. It's become very gentrified, in the East End. And there was an old guy. We had the whole street closed down. There was an old guy walking with his dog, who's just a local. And David Lynch looks at him and went, "Wait." And he went up to the guy, this old guy, and said, "Do you want to be in a movie?" And the old guy said, "I don't care. What do you mean?" And so David said, "Put this guy in a costume." So they put this old man in a costume, and they had his dog, and his dog was old and arthritic and couldn't go fast. It was very old, but it was chock full of character. And there's a really lovely opening shot on the back of this dog and this man walking up this very Victorian Dickensian street in London in black and white, and the shot starts on them, and the camera cranes up and looks, and then we see the whole street life there. And I remember at 13 going, "Oh, that's fucking," excuse me, that's amazing.
It's fine.
Okay, that's amazing, because he's taken what's authentic and real and of this moment, seeing something here now, aside from all the planning, and made it live within his story. And that was massively important and influential to me. And even I do reference it in Ghosted. Even it's a really quick moment, but it's a shot in London where there's a man walking with a dog from behind, and it's an absolute homage reference to the shot in Elephant Man that David Lynch created 40 years ago.
I've got to go back and see that now.
Very quick moment when he's arriving in the taxi to
Gotcha.
London Bridge.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. But watch Elephant Man now. You're grown. You'll be fine. You'll.
Yeah, I can start crying just thinking about it, to be honest with you.
Wow.
So I now want to ask you about which rock icon do you think deserves a film next? I am a proud New Jersey guy. Do you want to take a swing at my boy Bruce for me, or what?
Bruce, wow. Well, that's a biggie because, like you say, you know, he's a huge icon, and he's massively important to so many people. I don't know if I would be the best person suited to.
But who do you think should be next in line if you had your pick?
Well, everyone's talking about Bowie, of course, which is, you know, really difficult. I mean,
you see the doc that just came out? Brett Morgan's?
No,
it's fantastic. Yeah,
I don't doubt it. You see, this is the thing. I think it's why it took so long for like a really good Elvis movie to come along, because they're so iconic, but they're so huge and powerful, and like, who do you get to play that role? You know, it's a really big ask.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, man. I have no idea.
Sure. Well, exactly. When you could do it with Taron and Elton. That you can make. I mean, I knew that was a genius idea as soon as I heard it, and Rami as well with Freddie. It was genius. But I mean, of course, there's someone who could do it. But who plays Bruce?
I know.
Who plays the boss?
I know. Me. You know, I just saw him last weekend for the first time in my life. He's 73 now, and he was still just absolutely incredible.
Like, who'd you get to play young Jagger? Young Jagger. It's like phenomenal. And I went and saw him play in Atlanta with the guys when we were shooting Ghosted, and it blew me away. The same with the Who. I went and saw them at the Hollywood Bowl. Who plays Pete Townsend?
Yeah.
Really
I hear you.
And so don't ask me. I'm all tapped out when it comes to trying to fill, get someone to fill those shoes. Of course, it's possible, and it's about finding a way of telling that story in an original. Well,
I feel like the Bruce one is kind of a layup because it could be like a Americana road trip type.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, All right, I've got a wrap here, so I want to ask you about your new film. We touched on it a bit. Fountain of Youth. Anything that you want to tell me about it? Skydance has been on a heater. It's a huge concept, so I'd love to hear more about it.
Well, I'm not going to give you anything, I'm afraid. Only you've got the title, you've got the writer, you've got the director. We're working at getting it to be the great film that it can be. It's a great script. It's an adventure. I brought more than anything else. It's an absolute balls to the wall, all out adventure, and we're in a place where it's happening, and we're dancing around a certain actor that dancing around, but we're courting, and that's very exciting. Look, Skydance, they're really great because they get behind the movies they want to make, they get behind the filmmakers, and they say, if they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And they like you say, they're on a heater, and they don't take it for granted, but at the same time, they know what they want, they know what they're doing. I'm really excited to be working with them again. So hopefully it'll all come together and you'll get a proper answer.
I'm going to make him an offer again.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.